Good evening on the late evening side, and I am here to say happy anniversary to the gang, WTP Sports Dudes, and I want to send a special shout out to Unc, man. I want to say happy second year anniversary, and it's just so many things that myself I've been contemplating and thinking about all day. When I got the text, I'm like, I know there's something that I'm missing. And to see that it was just my mind boggling, being a little tired from work. It's the second year of WTP Sports Dude. So shout out to everybody on the team. And when you mention WTP Sports Dudes, you talk about Unc, who put us all together. You're talking Parlay Poe of BlizzBurgh. You're talking myself, MossBurgh of Level Up Sports. You're talking One Take Zay of that One Take Zay podcast. And you're talking T1 City League TV. And then we've also added the dose and the flavor of post game sports, bringing that South Bend flavor from Notre Dame, and we also have added SEC Shine with the NASCAR as well as the great Griffey Griff. And that's another one of our guys on the WTP Sports Do sector. So for me, and also having milligrams and Doug, throughout the times that we have our streams. We've had Justin as well. So, just thinking of this 2 year anniversary is it's just a special thing to think about because 2 years, that we've been doing what we do when it comes to being able to bring everyone great shows, great content, and put us all together. So for me, this is really a 2 year anniversary and appreciation to, not only as I get to some others throughout the conversation tonight, as far as in what we've done over, the 2 years. And it's been about almost 5 months that we've been hosting our own show throughout the team. So, for me, it's just been a blessing, to be able to be part of this WTP Sports Dudes team. And when you think of 2 years, 2 years is not something small. 2 years is big. 2 years to be doing something. And when people talk about, oh man, you getting paid to do this, man, this is a grind. But I love it. And you see in the background, Level Up Sports 10. When I say go like, go follow, go share, go tell a friend to tell a friend. Not only Level Up Sports 10, as you see all the names scrolling across the bottom, WTPSportsDudes.com is where you can find us. I'm MossBurgh of Level Up Sports 10, and not to cut to the chase about a lot of what brought me here tonight outside of the 2 year anniversary. Throughout this 2 years, I've been able to not only meet quite a bit of people, I've been able to sit down and bring to you conversations with MossBurgh. And those are, one on one interviews with me being able to tap into not only just athletes, but different walks of life. You talking about just sports fans and their self. And when I think of this 2 year anniversary, the first thing that I think about is, I had made a post on Facebook, and a lot of people, if you know who I am, if you know me, I play basketball, and I had actually played through a basketball league on a torn meniscus, and ended up being a broken bone the game before the championship. And I had posted on Facebook. I said, I'm done. I'm gonna retire from playing basketball. And little and behold, I got a call from my uncle, WTP Sports Dudes at WTP for Life, Uncle Rob, as we call him, Uncle No No. The call he got, which created Level Up Sports 10. And when he called me, he said, "Do you want to join a podcast?" And I said, "Why not?" As I was sitting all day and thinking about this, I'm like, man, it's only right not to just go on and talk about what we've done over the 2 years, but it's the appreciation of others that made Level Up Sports 10 who Level Up Sports 10, which is myself, MossBurgh, and the name came from my uncle as well. So for me, it was more of, wow, I gotta give Unc his appreciation for all that he's been able to do and create, and what Level Up Sports 10 is, and what it brings, to my thoughts and to the people as we see tuning in. I appreciate you all tuning in. Feel free to share comments, any questions that you have. We're going to talk about it a little bit because there's been some things that definitely has happened. And I appreciate Clay jumping in this evening. Mr. Pollard 821. And we also have the Roblox Sisters 2-3 in the building. I appreciate you all joining in this evening. And make sure you put your comments. Anything you got to talk about when it comes to the sports sector, trust me, we can get into that as well as we talk about this 2-year anniversaries. And it's brought conversations with MossBurgh, as I spoke to you before, with former athletes such as Jesslor Boateng, Gabby Mitchell, Jasmine Holiday. She was a track star. Gabby Mitchell, she was a basketball player at the University of Akron. Jesslor Boateng, he played football, linebacker, All American. Jasmine Holiday, man, quite the track star over at Cal Lutheran. Those conversations also with Eric Dukes Sr., who was a coach over in Springfield, Ohio. Also with Miss Melissa Graham, Notre Dame and Duke fan, and Mr. Mike Macios, who you see sponsorship and of Cap City Predators. And he was able to make that Level Up Sports 10 poster board and that logo sign, what you see in the back. And I totally appreciate him. Not to forget about Gage Brown, who is now the head coach over at the Whetstone High School here in Columbus, Ohio. Not to forget about Coach Lee Anthony Jones, high school basketball coach over at International Girls High School in Columbus, Ohio as well. And the latest conversation that was taken a couple Fridays ago was with our own coach, Jamel Cornley. He is coaching over at Hilliard Davidson, one of our own, a legend in himself and what he has done on the courts. And I see I-71. How are you doing this evening? Appreciate you tuning in as well. And I'm also looking to bring you so much more. I'm in the talks with quite a few people and some coming conversations for the rest of the season throughout this year and coming into next year as well. We also have upcoming for the high school football and basketball season. We'll be doing live streams as well. So make sure you tune into that. And just for all those teams, coaches, players throughout the time that we were doing our high school football and our high school basketball live streams, we greatly appreciate that. We greatly appreciate you tuning in and being a part of all those live streams. And I appreciate you tuning in. BEH. Sometimes I don't want to say the name wrong, so as at BEH, I see the first name. Some names I don't. It'd be tough to say in certain ways, but I don't want to say the name wrong. But appreciate you tuning in. Appreciate the Jews, 2 Jews as well, multiple Jews, and just thinking about those streams, we've been able to build a different platform for everyone to check out. And you can also go check out the All About Us, WTPSportsDudes.com. And that is our website. You can reach out to us through our emails as well. And make sure you go check out that website. You get in a 411, as we would call it in our time, of everyone, in the group of WTP Sports Dudes, and just a little bit more of an in-depth of the reason that they even do it as well. And for myself, it's just so many reasons to being a part of WTP Sports Dudes was a no-brainer when a call came for me. So just the one thing that, these 2 years I think about is the call. I think about the first first couple of days we were on stream and, having guests come in and watch us. And one of those guests who's actually a part of the team now. And that's brought the 614 Ben, which is a show that I host on Wednesdays. And, being able to be a part of a team, and when you grind, and as some would say, or working and looking to do things, and you have to speak things into existence. And for me, some things I see in a different light and ways. So I kind of write a lot of things down. I speak things too. I see things and like, man, that's gonna happen. I know it's gonna happen. That's the type of person I've been, throughout this, 2 year journey with the podcast team. And I would say prior to, some of the ways that I think now has, not even been a thought, but now, the ways that I think is so different, and the growth throughout this journey, this 2 years has been nothing but just special for myself. And of course for the team as well. I know they would say the same thing. So getting to some of those shows throughout the 2 years and throughout the last 5 months, being able to talk about the NBA. We've had our own mock drafts with the NFL, the NBA. We've talked about college athletes numerous times, college football. We've even talked about, WNBA here and there. We've had one late night stream, and this is actually the second, excuse me, late night stream that we've actually had. Shout out to One Take Zay for that first late night stream, and the second late night stream, One Take, is coming on a 2 year anniversary. And for MossBurgh, it's just appreciation to the team. And when I say you guys give me, when I say the energy and the thoughts to do so much more, it's been able to bring What If Wednesdays, Women's Wednesdays, Women's Sports Wednesdays, Women's Sports Talk Wednesdays. Those are three different Wednesdays that I've been able to bring on the women's sides. We're at What If Wednesday, we're at part 6. That's going to be coming soon. We're at part 4 of What's Good Wednesdays. We're at NBA iconic performances, women's bracket predictions that we did when it comes to the NCAA, the March Madness. We did NBA all-time in-game dunkers on a Wednesday, hosted by MossBurgh. And like I said, when you add flavor, when you grow, and post game sports, make sure you go check out all those channels. Make sure you go check out that channel as well. Big Notre Dame fan. And through us hosting our Wednesdays, it was more so of, just ways of figuring things out. How can, we add a little spice, and it became the 614 band. And shout out to post game, man. I always say that because the funny thing about, the relationship of me and Post, my brother is a diehard Notre Dame fan. Post game is from South Bend, Indiana. Milligrams, who have been on the channel numerous times. Shout out to her Notre Dame prowess. She sat with Coach Freeman. She's been to Duke Blue Devils games. I mean, she's just a diehard fan when it comes to her teams, and just the way that circle formed. I actually had my first time in South Bend Stadium this past last year for my birthday. Shout out to my brother for taking me there, and just being able to see some of the things, and not really, growing up and being there like post game is, but to have that understanding and see like, man, yeah, I see why the fans are like that. You see a different type of atmosphere. It's a lot of growth within yourself when you becoming that sports fan, and it's just something special, something different. So, I think without WTP Sports Deuce, I think a lot of things that I've been able to do over the last few years has would not have been able to happen. And like I said, this is more so for me an appreciation and a shout out to the team for being able to do what we do on a daily basis. We on there Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Got a possible conversation. I'm not going to tell you who, coming this Friday evening. And then we're on Saturday, we're on Sunday. Shout out to the sponsors that's been with us: Social Nutritions, KT's Good Eats. And let me tell you about KT's Good Eats. And man, the thing that I love to do is cook. And when you grow and when you position yourself in certain ways, things happen. I got a call within we texting in a podcast group. You coming to the WTP reunion? If I wouldn't have went to the WTP reunion, if the podcast chat wouldn't existed, I wouldn't be able to cook and do what I do for KT's Good Eats, which is one of the sponsors, within this podcast. And shout out to KT's Good Eats, man. Without you, there would not be a lot of things that I've been able to do over these 2 years, especially these last 6 months. Just being able to bring people good food, talk about it, be a part of it, especially, and be welcome by you and your wife, Mr. Kevin Bird, Miss Tamara Bird. I greatly appreciate y'all. Um, I appreciate you because I think a lot of people don't understand what a 2 year anniversary is. When you think of those 2 years, you think of what has happened and amassed over those 2 years. Um, it's just been so much. Everybody's been able to stick with MossBurgh, whether he's on stream or off stream. But when I'm off stream, respectively, MossBurgh's at work doing what MossBurgh do, and it's just being able to see that brotherhood and seeing how we, you know, put countless effort into bringing you pure, authentic, pure, straight off of a notepad, taking your own notes. I keep the notepad with me. I got notes that I'm looking out, and those are shout outs. Those are the 5 months of the conversations that, been able to be put together through having that own show. Appreciation of get them shows out there. Let's do this. Let's host these shows. Let's get these people what they want to see. And I think, for me being able to talk the talk is something special because I've always talked sports. And man, I've been itching to talk about something that's happened in the last couple of days. If you think you know what I'm talking about, it's the biggest thing. You think about the brotherly love, brotherhood. Man, we might as well talk about it because we haven't talked about it. And I'm gonna send a shout out to Unc on this one because you have said the king is the GOAT. You are a Philly fan. You get Jalen Brown and you get the king in the same offseason. And this is a 2 year anniversary week. I don't that's a tough thing to sit back and not talk about. They must have knew it was a 2 year anniversary going on. King must have knew who you knew who his team he knew who your team was, but he also knew that you picked him as his GOAT. We gotta talk about this. For all those tuning in, drop your thoughts on LeBron to Philly, Giannis to Miami. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about the top 5 NBA draft picks. We can talk about Caleb Wilson. Let's talk about it because this LeBron to Philly, I think the East is a different beast. The West, you definitely got to have your vest, but the East is a different beast, and the beast will rip off a vest. I'm just saying, but we could definitely send a shout out to Unc and his Philadelphia 76ers, in a big free agency move, picking up Jalen Brown, picking up a LeBron James. I think, regardless of what people say about LeBron and his age, excuse me, until the king go out of this game and retire, put his crown up in that locker room, we got to respect it. He's here. He's going to be at the top of the list. He's going to be the man until he retire. It's no way around it. Of course, there's players that's putting up crazy stats that's better than LeBron stats when it comes to the averages and things like that. But guess what? Until he retires, King James is King James. I'm just saying, based on what I'm hearing, that's just my opinion. We know what it is when it comes to when he's on that court and when he's with a certain team and when he's got certain weapons. But I think this Philly team may be the best team that the King has had. I don't know. This is something outside of that Miami team. This is a definite team. You getting the Jalen Brown in his prime, Tyrese Maxey in his prime. Man, Jalen Brown got picked up in free agent. I don't know. I don't know what it was, man. I honestly think Jalen Brown is too much for Boston. I don't know, but I think they wanted to get rid of him all along. I think it was just a lot that was going on, and Wyatt Pierce and Wyatt. I appreciate you tuning in this evening as well on the late night side. I think it was just a lot of what Jalen Brown stands for. Some places don't want to deal with that, but for me personally, I think it was the craziest thing to get rid of a mega superstar as Jalen Brown was. You're talking about MVP. You're talking about championship. You're talking about when you lose a player like that. I think when Jalen Brown goes to Boston with this Philly team, I think Jalen Brown might try to get 40 this coming season. I just think, that's just me. I'm MossBurgh. I have a lot of crazy thoughts when it comes to certain things that can happen because we've seen things happen. So I'm that guy that'll say, yeah, Jalen Brown will drop 40 first game in Boston this season. So if it happened, we'll think about this conversation and this 2 year anniversary that I said that. So outside of that, for me, it's what's going on at JAKOTEY. Boy, what's going on this evening? How's it going? Appreciate you tuning in and joining. Talking about that LaMelo got traded too. He was the best player on the Hornets. I think that was something that was pretty wild. Myself, a lot of these free agent signings, a lot of these trades, I'm sitting back, I'm licking my chops. I'm ready for the season to start because when you think of LaMelo, you think of Anthony Edwards getting together. You think of McDaniels, they still have a team that could play. You think of Rudy Gobert, they still have a team that could play, even though they got rid of Randall. We know that, but they still got some guys that could go. LaMelo Ball is coming into his own. I think, with the way he is able to pass the ball, I think a lot of people is going to look opposite and think of the way that they showcase themselves. I seen a clip of Anthony Edwards with his little pup today. I think it was special. He ready for the season. He looked a lot bigger, a lot stronger, and he looked like he got that readiness to what's going on this season. He locked in. So for me, I think it's going to be something special to see. Timberwolves fans, as a Timberwolves player, I am so happy. Yes, sir. As a Timberwolves player, I am so happy. You said you play for the Timberwolves? Timberwolves fan. I was about to say, okay. Appreciate you tuning in as well, fan, player. We appreciate everyone tuning in. I think it's going to definitely be a duo to watch this season. Myself personally, when you think of Anthony Edwards, you think of LaMelo Ball. You think of instant offense, of course. You think of the flair. You think of the fact that actually now Anthony Edwards don't have to be double teamed so much. If he do draw that attention, he could get rid of the ball. I think it's just going to be something special to see, when it comes to that West and what Anthony Edwards was able to do prior to having LaMelo Ball, and now what he'll be able to do with having a player like LaMelo guard the ball at that guard position with them to be able to do things in that backcourt. I think it'll be special to see. For me, thinking about as well this 2 year anniversary, um, man, didn't want to really come on here and keep too much of y'all's time. If anything, y'all got to say, definitely tune in and say something. Just sitting here thinking about the different things, like I said, the different conversations that I've been able to have throughout the time, conversations with MossBurgh, with the different athletes, the different coaches, looking to have some more coming conversations as well in the next few weeks, next month, and throughout the time that we'll be doing our podcast, even for the next 10, 20 years. When you say MossBurgh is not going to stop doing what he's doing right now, I'm not going to stop doing. It's just going to be passed on, if anything. It's just, like I said, so much to think about so much to talk about, but I'm gonna hold that for the story that I have coming for you this season as well, and I'm gonna give you a little glimpse into that story. And my interview of MossBurgh will be hosted by our own post game of post game sports. He will be officially doing that interview, and it will be co-hosted by our Unc. And we gonna give Unc a break on this interview. The reason why, because we want him to co-host, because I know he's going to be able to ask me so many great questions when it comes to my interview, my story, throughout my life, and becoming a WTP sports dudes, a sports dude. I'm sorry, and growing into MossBurgh of Level Up Sports 10. A lot of people, have told me over the, past few months now. I'm getting better and better since the first stream, that we've done. Sorry, my back was itching a little bit. So, it was just, for me, hearing that numerous times, it just lets me know that Unc has, been able to put me in a space that I not only enjoy, have fun, but I love. Um, I love doing what we do when it comes to podcasting, when it comes to WTP Sports Dudes, when it comes to every show we have Saturdays, Sundays, Mondays we have NASCAR, Fridays we be having NASCAR shows. You're gonna have conversations with MossBurgh on Fridays. You're gonna be having Mondays with MossBurgh coming soon. Um, it's just going to be so many different things. And, for myself, I tell everybody to always keep your notifications on. Make sure you stay tuned in. Make sure you have your notifications on because, like you see tonight, it's a 2 year anniversary. And we got to talk about it. We got to celebrate it. And there's no reason for us not to because when you think of it, we've been able to host our own draft night. I think about that all the time when you able to host your own draft, do your own draft, go through a whole first round and be able to see some of those picks come to fruition on that screen. We looked at it this past year doing our mock draft. A lot of our picks coming to and being chosen at those rightfully picked positions and even in that round. So for us, um, you know, in this 2 year anniversary, man, it's just been a lot of transparency, a lot of growth, a lot of bonding, as brothers and learning to grow with each other as well. Myself, me and SEC Shine, a lot of people sit back and be like, man, Joseph, you I'm like, man, listen, me and SEC Shine is cool. Some things that, you know, when you in a group and you all have, you know, a goal to see each other successful, you know, it's special to see how transparency makes you great. And, it's just a lot of life lessons that, you know, as I've gotten older, that I've learned. I'll be 44 in October. Been in this group for a couple years. And it's like, you learning a whole new brotherhood. But the brotherhood that I have now is like a basketball brotherhood. And that network that we're building is going to determine the net worth that we have later on in life. And, for me, when I think of 2 years, wow, you think of 5 years after that. Then you think of 10 years. You know, um, I want to send a shout out to, every high school athlete um, that I've been able to have an edit and do an edit of if I reached out to you and you were able to send me footage and I was able to put your edit out on my Instagram page. If you could go check that out, Level Up Sports 10 on Instagram. You know, I've been blessed to be able to talk with parents, with coaches, and be able to not just hold a conversation, but give them insight of what I see and the star that they have, being that athlete and even having those conversations with those athletes as well, telling them how good they are, keep pushing, keep trying, beat the odds, because, we all know that there's life after a sport, but there's a lot of sport to be played. So, with that being said, my thing is always to be a student athlete, be a student first. That athlete is always going to be there. That determination, that will to be great. So, over these 2 years, like I said, being able to put those edits together, being able to get a phone call, get the support through comments, through likes, through shares, through reposts. It's all appreciated. And not to forget, man, um, one of the guys, man, it's a brother to me. When I say I call him anytime, I could text him at 1 in the morning, actually. And he will answer, he will text back, or if he sees that text hours later, he didn't see it that time, he will apologize, man. Shout out to my brother Dorian Sutton, man. Grow up. Make sure you tap into growup.clothing on my Shopify. Make sure you go tap into that. It's not just hats, it's clothing, it's hoodies, it's kid wear, it's so much that you could tap in. The sleeveless line that's going out right now is crazy. But just thinking about, you know, some of the people that I've, talked to throughout the time of doing my podcast and telling me to push and keep doing what you do. Um, it's crazy because me and Dorian had a time where we talked the first time I started doing what I do with the podcast, and he was like, "Man, you got this, bro." He told me that from day one. When I came to him and I was like, "Man, I got this podcast going." He was like, "Oh, bro, you got this." And for me, it's like a full circle. 2 years coming to it because I also cook, and the thing is, I started working in Polaris, and it's crazy, Unc. You got me on here shouting out the 2 years, and it's bringing me into my story, and they getting a little glimpse into it. But people always told me I had a radio voice, so that was something that was pretty interesting to me. When you called me and asked me to join. When I think about the 2 years, um, it just never leaves my mind. I know people say never, but it never leaves my mind. When people told me I had a radio voice, Polaris Parkway, Lyra Drive, way back before a lot of things out there that's out there now was built. But it looks beautiful out there, and I'd never forget about those times working a drive through out there. So Unc really brought me full circle with the podcast and doing what we do over these 2 years. So for me, it's really a blessing over these 2 years, I would say, to be able to bring you not just my voice, but the things that we do, talk about being here with the guys, being able to share our thoughts on our sports as we always done and did growing up. We would always share our thoughts on sports and our general, opinions and whatever it would be. So, for myself, thank you for those Jews as well. It's my first time ever getting Jews on the show, and I would have to honestly ask Aunt would appreciate the super chats. So for me, it's like just a blessing to be able to do what we do, because doing this is something that, yes, I thought about it, but did I think it would happen, or did I think it would be? Nah, I didn't, see certain things happening because that was just where my mindset was at. But since being in this 2 years, a lot of things that some may not even think about happening, I think about that and some. I really do. And when I say this grind is not gonna stop, Unc, as the late great DB says, your Unc, man, your brother, man, we appreciate you. Rest in heaven. and it don't stop. I'm gonna continue to do what we do. Continue to bring flavor each and every time you ask me to be on this mic for a show. Each and every time I host my own show, even time we bring a conversation too, you're gonna get the best of MossBurgh. But as far as myself, man, when I say 2 years, WTP Sports Dudes, you see, Level Up Sports 10. We only gonna continue to grow and bring y'all what we want to bring y'all whenever y'all ask for it. But we gonna definitely bring y'all the cook-ups each and every time we step on this stream. But as for myself, I don't know what y'all doing for the. I'm about to take some notes. This week, today is Monday evening. It's getting closer to Tuesday. Make sure you tap in tomorrow evening. We got top linebackers hosted by SEC Sean on a Tuesday, and it's going up. The WTP Sports Dudes on a cook-up. And then Wednesday, y'all know who it is. It's your boy MossBurgh with the 614 Ben and your boy Post Game. And we talking that AFC East. We bringing the breakdowns for the AFC East this Wednesday. And then Thursday, I'm going to hold you to that one because you got to tune in Tuesday and Wednesday to get the scoop for Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. And then you got to tune in Saturday to get the scoop for Sunday. So just make sure you hit all the like and subscribes to all the channels you see at the bottom. You got at WTP for Life 2-year anniversary. Shout out to WTP Sports Dudes for bringing us all together. And then you got Parlay Poe of Blissburg. You got One Take Zay of the One Take podcast. You got Post Game of Post Game Sports. You got SEC Sean. Got that NASCAR and that Texas A&M Maggie. And you got City League TV, T1. And then you got myself, MossBurgh of Level Up Sports 10. And we got great Griffey Griff coming. And he going to be off that work schedule and being able to enjoy a vacation. He going to pop in and give us some thought on some things for his teams for this season as well. And you're going to see more of him this season. Is also on our high school football Friday nights and as well as our high school basketball through the season. But this is your boy MossBurgh, man. And y'all know what I do. I just come for the cook-ups. I come for the cook-ups because I love y'all. But most of all, I appreciate all of y'all tuning in, man. 2-year anniversary. I really want to stay on and get more thoughts about certain things. But we're going to save all of that for the cook-ups all week long. And you see your boy in the background. Yeah, Joey B. That's my boy. And if you know me, I'm a Cincinnati Bengals fan. Feel free. Send all your free tickets, all your input, because we here and we want to cook it all up. We do not mind. We fans of all different teams. Shout out to the Texas Longhorns. Shout out to the Texas A&M Aggies. Shout out to the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Shout out to the Ohio State Buckeyes. Shout out to the Michigan Wolverines. Shout out to the LSU Tigers, great Griffey Griff. Shout out to MossBurgh and his Florida State Seminoles. You know, college football is coming. And we're going to send shout outs to all the rest of our teams as we continue to get close to these seasons of football as well as NBA. I mean, there's just so much going on. But the one that we like best, I think a lot of people be ready for it. That NFL and that college football. But as for myself, as we always say, City League, we was in the building and we out. 2-year anniversary. It's MossBurgh. I checked in, I checking out, but I appreciate y'all tuning in this evening, man, because without y'all, I wouldn't be able to continue to do what we do best, man. WTP Sports Dudes. Make sure you go check the website. Check the website. Check the website. Like and subscribe to all channels. Like and subscribe to all channels. Let's see what's going on. Let's see what's going on. We was in the building. We out. Peace. Love.